good, y'all? Y'all know what time it is, man. Hey, welcome back to another scary reaction video. All right, so let me tell y'all something. Y'all probably wondering why I'm so hyped. Hey, I love new things. I never reacted to animated horror stories. Like I always say, we not finna do too much talking. We finna kind of just hop straight into it. Let's get it. Why do I keep clapping? Nah, I ain't gonna jump scare y'all today. But anyways, you should hit that sub button. Like, right now. Anyways, man, this first animation is called... I need to stop doing that, because I noticed throughout my videos, my camera just be... Alright, this first animation is called Sleepover. I don't got a funny joke to say. Let's get it. Let's get it. Oh.
This happened when I was 15 years old. My best friend Anthony wanted me to come over for the night since his parents would be gone all weekend. I rode my bike over and put it in his backyard before letting myself in through his back door. We played basically every video game he had, from FIFA all the way to Call of Duty, with popcorn and other junk food spilled out all over the floor.
They lit.
As the night progressed, we moved from video games to watching half a movie and getting bored to doing prank calls at close to 10 o'clock.
It's crazy.
Anthony made a few calls to different pizza places. When it was my turn, I just dialed a few random numbers in hopes to get someone at their house. On, say, my fourth attempt, I finally reached somebody. A guy with a deep and rough voice picked up, answering with a yeah instead of a hello. Anthony's laughing in the background made me stumble with my words mid-sentence, ultimately cracking up into laughter. I had never done a prank call, so I sucked at it. The guy on the other end was silent. I regained a straight face and tried to continue with the call. It went something like this. Sir, would it be alright if I borrowed one of the wheels from your car? What's your name, kid?
Why would he say that?
My name is Bob. Really? You sure it's not Anthony? It hit me like a brick. I looked up at Anthony, whose face was noticeably full of fear. I hung up the phone, not wanting to be on the line with whoever that was for another second.
Yeah, good thinking.
Anthony, who the hell was that? I asked him.
Anthony does not know.
I don't know,
Yeah,
he told me.
Does not know.
Does your caller ID info display your name or something? No, it shows my dad's name.
That's crazy. Like, how does he know his name then? Because he called from a house phone. It looked like. That phone looks like it has no screen on it. Yeah, I have no idea of how he would know his name.
We hopped on the computer and did some research, trying to figure out how it was possible to get someone's name through their phone number. It didn't make sense how he could get Anthony's name so quickly. He was way too young at the time to be on any of those personal information sharing websites.
Imagine he just guessed it.
We ended up asking a question on Yahoo Answers, since no one had a similar experience. The question turned up no answers. I suggested he call his dad, but he said he wasn't supposed to have anybody over for the weekend, so he didn't want to call. We planned on sleeping in the living room, so we just resumed watching the movie that we hadn't finished from earlier. Right after the phone call had left my mind, me and Anthony looked at each other when we heard his front storm door opening, and then the doorknob to the front door began to turn.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It only was able to turn about halfway before the lock restricted it. Anthony turned off the TV, and I went over to the window to see who it was. I spread the blinds open. There was a tall guy standing outside. He noticed the blinds moving, and turned to look at me. I practically threw the blinds.
Nope. I would've moved before he even thought to turn his head. As soon as I saw him out there, I would've closed it. You saw how fast hey. I'm telling you.
Back into place. Me and Anthony hid in the kitchen, listening for any more noises. We heard the sound of the gate to the backyard opening, as it was right outside the kitchen window.
I thought that was the music.
God damn it, I said. I forgot to shut the back door.
Shut the back door?
Anthony urged me to run and shut it. I made it to the hallway leading to his back door, and froze. There was a silhouette standing outside the back door.
I would've ran.
I don't think he noticed me, but he was surely looking into the house.
I would've ran and Seamus kicked the door.
I tiptoed to the kitchen and motioned for Anthony to follow me upstairs. We made it to his room as quietly as possible, pulling the door shut to avoid making any noise. We crawled under his bed. He had cloth covering the bottom of his bed, so you couldn't see anything under it unless you actually moved the cloth. The doors downstairs all opened, each one getting closer to the stairs. Thumps finally began up the stairs, and he was right outside the door now.
Oh, no.
The door to the room opened. I could hear Anthony's breathing. It was too loud.
Cover his mouth.
Footsteps moved over to the closet, and then the closet opened. I could hear the coat hangers being slid around as the fabric of the jackets and coats rubbed against each other. Footsteps moved over to the bed and stopped. I felt like my heart was about to explode out of my chest. Anthony's breathing was too loud. I had to cover his mouth with my hand. Nothing but silence in the room
Anthony
now.
finna get y'all caught, man.
We laid still for so long, I almost thought he wasn't even in the room anymore. I moved my hand away from Anthony's mouth and whispered in his ear, "You think we can make a run for it?" He was about to answer when the most disturbing, memory-haunting scream I'd ever heard filled my ears as Anthony was seemingly dragged out from under the bed. I crawled out and saw him struggling with the man. I desperately looked around for anything to use as a weapon. I settled with the screwdriver sitting on his nightstand. I hurried over to the man and drove the screwdriver into his back. He let go of Anthony as he let out a scream of agony, giving us time to get the hell out of the house. Running onto the road would give away our position too easily. It would take too long to make it to his neighbor's house. We dove for the tree line in the woods and took cover behind a bush, watching the house. The back door opened.
So man, just chilling in y'all house. He really could have just been in there the whole time. This man basically just kicked y'all out. Nah, after I drove that screwdriver in his back, I would have pulled it back out until he got out. I'ma stab you. I'ma stab you again. You better get out. I would have kept, boy. Hey.
The man stepped outside, looking around the backyard. He then looked out to the woods. I felt his eyes pass me as he scanned through the tree line. It seemed that it was too dark for him to see us. Then, he turned his head back in our direction.
So sick.
I ducked behind the bush.
Joe, he's coming. What? Dude, get up, we gotta run.
He was right. The man was approaching us fast. How could he have seen us?
That's what I'm saying.
We ran through the woods with the leaves crunching under us, giving away our position. When Anthony tripped over something, I crouched down with him, hoping we had run far enough. Not even 20 seconds later, oncoming footsteps from the direction we were running from came fast. They slowed down only 2 trees away from us as we lay face down in the leaves. Moments later, the footsteps take off in another direction. We waited until we could no longer hear them and took off back in the direction of the house.
How was bro following?
While running, over the sound of leaves crushing and my heavy breathing, I could swear I heard leaves crushing from behind us. We made it back to his backyard, into his house, and this time remembering to shut the back door. We were now able to call the police. Anthony stayed on the line with them, while I patrolled the back windows, making sure nobody was out there. It was so dark though, I couldn't see anything. So I did something that seems stupid today. I turned on his backyard lights, and immediately in the distance, over by the woods, I saw him, standing in front of a big tree. He turned off back into the woods and disappeared out of sight. That was the last time me or Anthony ever saw him. I would be lying if I told you we heard the occasional knocks at our windows or something cliche. No, that was it. 5 years have passed and nothing has happened. Do I wonder if it was somehow linked to the prank call? Maybe. Does it make sense? Not really. But yeah, this was the story of how me and my still best friend Anthony almost died during a break-in.
Yeah, that's insane. Alright y'all, this next video is called The Roommate. Or shall I say this next animation is called The Roommate by the one and only Llama Arts. I've been watching Llama Arts for some years, I ain't gonna lie. They need to post some more. But yeah, let's get it. The roommate.
Looking for a new roommate is always a daunting task. Even though you interview and take the time to get to know that person, you don't truly find out who they are until you start living with them. I had begun searching for a roommate after I decided to leave my current residency. I was contacted a couple of hours after placing an ad on the Facebook Marketplace.
Why don't you just go over there and ask her to be a roommate? She looks pretty lonely.
Couple of hours after placing an ad on the Facebook Marketplace. The message read,
Hey Chris, I'll be moving out of my current apartment this August and I'm looking to room with someone new, as my roommates are moving to California this year. I'm 27 and am currently going to school. When I'm not at school, I enjoy hiking and watching movies. I also apprentice at a taxidermy shop on the days I don't have class. Hope that's not weird. It's always been a fun hobby of mine. Anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. Have a great day, Lunaire.
My first and most obvious reaction after reading the message was to check her profile. She was of medium height, had long, messy blonde hair and green eyes. In her profile picture, I saw her standing with a man and a woman shoulder to shoulder. They each adorned goofy grins and held up peace signs. Under the photo, the caption read, "Love my roommates." I smiled to myself and decided to send her a message back. The sun beat down on us as we hoisted various objects.
Am I?
I smiled to myself and decided to send her a message back.
I'm not sure.
The sun beat down on us as we hoisted various objects to the second floor of our new apartment.
Imagine
It
that's
took
her.
us a couple days to get everything out of the moving trucks and into our new place, but as soon as we did, a wave of relief washed over our sweat-drenched and sore bodies. After a couple more hours of rearranging, we each grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat on the porch. We reminisced about old 90s cartoons and what video games we obsessed over as kids, and as the sun started to set, I truly felt relaxed and confident that things were going to work out. A week later, I started a new job for a construction company that was owned by a good friend of mine. As I was getting ready, I heard the front door swing open and walked into the living room to see Lunaire and her friend David sliding in a large box. "What you got there?"
A box of what?
I asked. Through a strained grunt, she replied,
I bought a freezer to store some of the animals I'm planning on using in my taxidermy work. I hope that's alright.
I was obviously hesitant at first, as there was no mention of this happening in the first place, but I eventually accepted and returned to my room to continue getting ready for work.
I would have said
I
no.
came home at around 9 p.m. after having a couple of beers with friends and noticed that the freezer was nestled snugly in the lower
it
part
outta
of the
here.
pantry. A low hum could be heard reverberating off of the inner walls. I was curious to see what was inside, but didn't want to intrude on Lunaire's business, so I went into my room and changed into more comfortable clothing.
No.
After changing, I came back out into the kitchen and started making a sandwich. I opened the fridge and grabbed what I needed. As I turned around, I stubbed my toe on the edge of the island countertop and let out a long, exasperated grunt. Through my frustration, I slammed the fridge door shut and checked my toe to see if there was any bleeding. As I raised my head back up, I was greeted by a shadowy figure. Lunaire was standing in the doorway leading to her room. The darkness behind her almost
Why she
seemed
look
to
like
envelop
that?
her.
Is everything okay?
She said in a deadpan tone. "Shit, yeah, I'm sorry. I just slammed my toe into the corner of the countertop as I was making a sandwich. I hope I didn't wake you,"
It's fine.
she said in the same deflated tone as before. She then turned around and walked back into the darkness of her room. I could
Why
tell
she-
that she was pissed,
Oh, no.
so I quietly made my sandwich and retreated back to my room as well, only hearing the low hum from the freezer as I closed my door. I had the next day off, so I was able to sleep in a little longer than usual. When I finally emerged from my room, I walked into the kitchen to make breakfast. As I opened the refrigerator, I noticed that the light wasn't turning on and there was a lack of cold air escaping from inside. I turned around and flipped the light switch to confirm my suspicion. Sure enough, the power was out. "Damn it,"
Oh, wow.
I muttered under my breath. I walked over to Lunaire's room and knocked on her door to tell her about the power outage if she didn't already know, but but there was no answer. I then remembered that she had classes that day and probably wasn't home. I walked back to the kitchen and past the pantry. As I did, I slipped on the floor but was able to catch myself on the countertop. "What the?" I angrily exclaimed as I looked down at the floor trying to figure out what I had slipped on. It was blood,
Lord.
and it started to leak from the corner of the freezer and pool.
Oh Lord. I kinda knew it. I kinda knew it, but I ain't wanna say nothing. It's dead bodies in there. That's why she came out and she was acting weird, cause she thought he opened the freezer. Yep. That's exactly what happened.
Pool onto the floor. I quickly tried to open the freezer to find out the cause of the viscous liquid, but then I noticed that it had a padlock attached to it. I don't remember seeing that before. I ran out to my car and grabbed my toolbox from the back seat. I approached the freezer and set my tools down on the nearby countertop. I then pulled out a small pair of bolt cutters and snapped through the metal of the padlock. It fell to the ground with a large thud. I creaked open the top of the freezer and was greeted with a putrid stench that permeated my nostrils.
Oh, I'm already
I
knowing.
quickly pinched my nose and walked away gagging in response.
I'm already
I
knowing.
realized that was gonna happen, I muttered to myself in between gags. After gaining my composure, I grabbed some gloves from under the sink and started taking inventory. I could see a couple of dead birds and plastic bags wedged into the corners of the freezer. I took each bag out and set them in the trash can nearby. That's when I noticed that the blood was coming from the corner of the larger black bag. I don't know why, but I decided to open the top of the bag and peer inside. I was greeted by large, milky white eyes, a swollen black tongue surrounding.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I told you. And that looked like the girl from her profile picture. Imagine she killed the ones that was in her profile picture.
Surrounded by cracked and bloated lips and the matted hair of a human head. I swiftly dropped the bag and fell backwards onto the floor. My breathing had ceased to exist, and I grabbed the trash can next to me and expelled my disgust into it. I then ran out the door, got into my car, and called the police. As I sat in the interrogation room with a blanket over my shoulders, I couldn't help but think about the face I'd seen. It looked so familiar. That's when it finally hit me.
I swear to God.
I pulled out my phone and looked at Lunaire's profile picture.
I swear to
It was
God!
Lunaire's roommate. The one she said was moving to California.
People are gonna think I watched this before. That's crazy. I just
When
be
the
knowing,
detective
man.
entered the room, she started the questioning process, asking me if I started noticing any weird behavioral occurrences around the apartment. Yeah, I stubbed my toe the other day and she creepily stood in the doorway. It seemed like she was pissed, but for some reason I had a strange feeling like she was concerned about something. That's when I connected the dots. She didn't come out into the kitchen because she heard me stub my toe. She came out into the kitchen because she thought I slammed the freezer instead of the fridge. A cold sweat started to form on my forehead as my surroundings became blurred. I could hear a low whine slowly starting to cover up the words of concern from the detective. As my vision started to clear, I could see another officer enter the room and whisper something into her ear as he handed her a piece of paper. "Do you have somewhere you could stay at?" she asked. I mean, I was planning on staying with my parents. They live about 30 minutes outside of town. Okay, she paused. Listen, I don't want to worry you, but we found this picture inside of your apartment.
Oh, no.
She slid the piece of paper across the table, and I immediately felt like someone kicked me in the chest.
Brace yourselves.
The head of Lunaire's other roommate sat on the chair. In the background, scrawled on the wall in blood,
My God.
read, "Love my roommates. All of them."
How did he not die? Anyways, man, I enjoyed those. I don't know about y'all, but I loved them. But yeah, man, sadly, this will be the end of the video. You know what I'm saying? But it don't matter because I'm finna record right after this. Go ahead, hit that thumbs up button. Turn my post notifications on so you never miss a new video. Hit that sub button, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.